Hello, Armchair Generals. My name is Tom, and I'm back with yet another episode of my Japanese campaign in Hearts of Iron 3 using the Black Ice modification version 10.43. Just started the game and saved it after running it for just a couple of hours and saved successfully, so we got a good playthrough coming up here. I would first like to start off this video by just saying thank you to one of my viewers, Surters, who I think is Surt, S-U-R-T, on the forums. Don't mean to call you out like that, but I definitely want to thank you for bringing to light an erroneous the supposition they had in regards to how research works in this game here. He indicated that there is a penalty for any sort of research that you take that is even say 1 year ahead of whatever the current year is. So any kind of research like this 1940 tech, for example, even though it's 1 year ahead of November, if I were to go ahead of this year, if I were to go ahead and select it, it wouldn't show a red mark there until I select that 1941 tech, and it would say that you have medicine. My supposition was because it's not showing that the supply transportation, which is 1 year ahead of whatever the current year is, isn't showing up there. Therefore, that's got to be okay. There's not a penalty on that. He indicated, CERT indicated that no, that's incorrect. There is a penalty. So I did a little bit of research on my own. That's why, if you looked real carefully at the beginning of my video, you saw there was a 1939 save, or a 1936 save rather. I went in and selected Portugal as a test country. Went into special forces here and I selected the amphibious warfare equipment because it's a 19, I think it was a 1938 tech for Portugal. Started the game and saw that immediately as I selected it, as I expected, the amount of time that it was going to take would be like in late 1940 or something like that. So it would take a good 50 plus months before it would be finally researched. As I started playing the game, when I got to 1937, and thus the amphibious warfare equipment should only be 1 year ahead, and the red mark disappeared in January 37, the amount of time that it would take would actually dropped. It dropped about November of 38, I believe. So the amount of total time it was going to take would be something around 35 months or something like that. I kind of anticipated that since it was only 1 year ahead, my thinking was feeling sound that it should be done fairly quick. However, when I switched over to 1938 as Portugal, the amphibious warfare equipment finish date dropped yet again to spring of 38. So the total amount of time that would be taking wouldn't be quite as long. So I tested again. Started in 1936, chose the 1937 tech. Saw that was me completing in 38 or something like that. When it got to 1937, the time dropped dramatically to later in 1937 there, spring or so. Tried it again with a 1936 tech in 1936, so I would be finishing in the same year, 1936. It was only going to take 9 months. So after a little bit of testing, the upshot is after a bunch of testing and whatnot, playing as a different country, I determined that indeed search is correct. Any tech that you research that brings up that red mark up there, that indicates that it's too far in advance. Like you see this right here, saying that artillery barrel ammunition is 2 years in advance. That takes the longest to research. Even just if you start off and just keep going and going, it'll take the longest to research. It'll drop off next year in 1940, but still, it'll take longer than if I were to wait until 1941 to begin to research this. The tech that's 1 year in advance, say like this 1940 tech, not quite as long as the 1941, but still longer to the point where I could get anywhere from 2 to 3 research projects taken care of in place of the one that I've researched, 1 year in advance. My estimation, and again, it all depends. The variables are such that depending upon the research efficiency and other variables, some tech just takes longer than other tech. Secret tech, for example, will take much longer to complete. The atomic research, the nuclear science technologies take longer to research than, say, infantry tech. But in any event, The upshot is it's better to only be researching tech in its current year rather than, as I was saying in previous videos, that I like to maintain and even advance my research and like these where it's 1 year ahead. So going forward and starting this campaign, but in other future campaigns, I'm going to make certain that I only research current year or older, of course. And by the way, my research indicated there is no no advantage of waiting for tech to fall into the abyss and then research it. You don't research it quicker. So like this heavy armor forging is going to take just as long to research as any 1939 or if it was 1939, for example. I shouldn't say any 1939 tech because again, some tech just takes longer to research than others, depending upon how difficult it is. Like this is a difficulty 12, additional supplies, difficulty 4. This would take far longer, not necessarily 3 times as long to research, because again, there's other variables like research efficiency and other things that are in play. But nonetheless, the higher the difficulty, the longer that it takes to research that. Um, it's just better to wait until current year to research that tech. So going forward in this campaign, I'm going to leave my tech the way alone, the way it is at this point here, because we are fairly close to 1940. We're close enough now that even if I were to go ahead and kill all 1940 tech that I'm researching at this point here, in 2 months' time, I'm going to put it all back on anyway. So I might as well just take the bit of leadership that's going to be spent towards it and just let it keep riding at this point. But going forward, I'm not going to be selecting any tech that's in advance of the year that it currently is, and that's the same for any future campaign. I'm just going to make sure that I'm only doing that current tech. The exceptions will be, for example, when playing Germany, I've got a German campaign that I've got my eyes on that I would like to start. Um, with Germany, they have more leadership. They have research targets at the beginning of the game. I've my many playthroughs. By the time I've gotten over to 100% leadership, got my spies and diplomatic influence up to where I want them to be, and then I throw the rest of my leadership into into my research, my technology. I find that halfway through 1936, I've run out of things to research that's current year, so I'm then researching, the future year. At that point, in some cases, even I have so much leadership going in to tech that I'm choosing projects or even 2 years in advance because I really have nothing else I want to spend my tech on. Germany, I don't worry about naval except for submarines. I don't worry about naval otherwise. But in any event, that's the process I'm going to be using, and all thanks to a viewer that pointed that out to me, and I greatly appreciate that. So going forward, if anybody has any other comments or suggestions or even questions about how I'm playing the game or why I'm doing what I'm doing, please let me know. Provide that down below. I'd be happy to answer them, and also I'm willing to learn every single day that I play Hearts of Iron 3. Every new game that I play, I seem to learn something new. Speaking of learning something new, let's go ahead and press forward here. Where we left off, in case it's been a while since you watched my last video, we had already conquered China. As you can see, we've joined the Axis. That's why we have the black font there. We're only at war with Xinjiang at this point right now. We've puppeted several countries here that I've been attacking. Yunnan we puppeted, Zibisan Ma and Tibet, who we had just finished conquering probably last episode. We moved into Xinjiang at this point, and we are beginning to surround their capital here. This is their only victory point location. We can't move into the south because there is no, as you can see, it's too low infrastructure. So we're moving northward and around so we can encircle the capital because there's no way to move in here. The enemy's not going to be able to move in there either. And the idea is we're just going to hold our position around the capital for the next 2 years. December 7th, 1941 is when I anticipate declaring on the United States. That'll be when the historical event, the attack on Pearl Harbor, will happen. Shortly before that, I'll probably go ahead and start attacking Xinjiang, start reducing the forces there. Try to time it in such a way that I move into the capital at just about the time that I'll be declaring on the United States, so that I can make sure that the majority of my IC is going towards production. As you can see, we've got probably a good two-thirds, three-quarters, actually, going into production at this point here. Our reinforcements, are where they are. I really need to start next. In fact, January, I'm going to start pushing my upgrades here up to a larger amount, and I'll need to bring in. So I'll have sufficient time to do it. I'll need to bring in all my fleets and possibly air units too, and just manually upgrade them. I'll take a look and see. I do have a bunch of rank one units here. Let's see what interceptor. We're actually up to, yeah, we're up to rank 3. So I've got some rank 1 interceptors here that really need some upgrades. And I think I'll just do that manually, so that way I can kind of get that taken care of. For those who may be wondering, so why did you puppet the countries that you have? During the war in China, my goal was to capture everything with the exception of Zibi-Sen-Ma, and that's because Zibi-Sen-Ma has a great large-sized army, large enough that they can certainly keep an eye on Mongolia for me, and perhaps even assist here. I see they're kind of beginning to do their push here into this area, so maybe they'll assist me here in Xinjiang and ensure that my forces are not only kept supplied, but maybe they'll push some of the enemy out of some of those territories. I was waiting once China completed. I was waiting for the event to fire that would give me the coastal areas and create the Republic of China Nanjing, I believe. However, that never fired. Waited about 6 months, never occurred. Off camera, off video, I went ahead and advanced it all the way through to the next year, thinking maybe it's an annual kind of thing, and it'll tick. Then it did not. So I ended up now I've ended up having conquered all of China here. Just role played is that the Japanese high command, the military leadership, decided that they were going to go ahead and utilize all of the manpower that's available and resources available in China. Due to their philosophy, I did puppet Yunnan because I didn't. There really is nothing of any worth or consequence in here, just their main capital. And honestly, I mean, some energy, which I'm doing very well on. Honestly, this is all red because I've just started the game. It should be going pretty much well, maybe except for metal, but should be going all green here fairly shortly. But it doesn't have much in the way of resources. A decent amount of IC, sure, but it doesn't really have much in the way of resources for me to have to designate, some units to have to hold this. I've already had to designate a couple Kempetai Corps, um, a couple Garrison Corps here in the south. My militia I've got kind of running around here in the middle to fend off any invade any rebel forces maybe appearing here. And I've also got a, cavalry corps, an overstrength cavalry corps actually. This guy here, he's got 6 units assigned to him when technically you can only have 5. You as a player can only put 5 units to each headquarter unit going upward. So like you can put 5 corps to an army unit. You can put 5 armies, to a 4-star, etc. Um, the AI can kind of cheat a little bit, and for that matter, the developers did too for this Black Ice modification. That corps started the game already with these units assigned to it. But I've got a lot of units tied down in China just to hold it. But it has given me quite a bit of IC, a little bit more than what it's really showing here, I would have to say, just because I've got some the unit spawn penalties assigned. Those will be dropping off here fairly soon. I've also got a little bit more leadership, I think, due to having most of China there, where that I wouldn't have already. I think that's probably, I would say about maybe 5 to 10 points more, maybe 15. I'm not sure of leadership that I would have than if I were to strictly have just the coastal province. So I'm okay with the situation it is right now. After we were done with that puppeting and whatnot, I went ahead and declared on Tibet because I was waiting for that event to fire to say that we can now move into Tibet and begin operations there. Again, just to maintain on a war footing this whole entire time until we declare on the United States. I feel it's a bit gamey, meaning it's it doesn't seem entirely realistic to be on a complete war footing for years and years and years and years, just so you're able to produce things, more rapidly and more of them. But it is what it is. I will utilize that, that kind of feature here in this game, and you can see it's being used to good effect. We have several carriers that are in the process of being built at this time. We've got some battleships as well. Um, and in the next couple months here, we're going to be seeing a bunch of units that need to be fully upgraded. That'll be thrown in there as well. And I do expect we'll seeing even more IC as we get this industry built. I've got about seven, yeah, seven that'll be built here by next spring, um, eight by the summer. Not to mention anything else. Once that spawn penalties drop off, that should be bring me back over 300 again. So I should be seeing quite a bit of IC to help me with my naval builds for the next 2 years. Speaking of, I do need to make sure that I get my naval builds completed here quickly enough. I only have 4 carriers total. You start with the Kaga and the Akagi, as well as the Ryuju and Hosho. The United States has already been involved in building since I've had war with China, at least 3, if not 4 carriers. So I really need to kind of catch up to them so I can maintain parity and even get ahead. Which that's the plan. As you see, I've got 5, 6, 7, 8 carriers in the process of being built here that'll all be pretty much finished well before war starts with the United States. That'll give me a good dozen. I like to start my campaign against the United States with about a dozen carriers, and it looks like we'll be meeting that. So let us press forward here. I don't think we have anything further to really do. That airport level 4, I'm just going to hold on. I really don't need to worry about building this because all it does is increase the air organization. I don't need it for what's happening here in Xinjiang or anywhere else, and I'd rather not take that loss there to IC. Um, Belgium is mobilizing. I guess one thing I should point out. Let me go and take care of this real quick. The wings aerodynamic. I want to point out what's happening over in Europe here. Um, you can see, and this is where we'll be kicking in and saying, yeah, we're going to follow suit with what Cert had pointed out. This is 1941 tech. I'd be dropping off anyway, but even if it was 1940 tech, I would still be at this point now dropping it off because it's too far in the future. I can wait until 1940 to research that. So we're going to just drop that off, and we're going to do that for any other tech that we research going forward here this month and next. Anything that's 1940 tech or in the future, I'm just going to go ahead and drop off. Um, Germany, just to kick things off as per normal. Everything here has been very historical. Italy has taken Abyssinia here. The Spanish state, the nationalists, have won their civil war. Italy's taken Albania. Germany's taken its countries. Poland wasn't too difficult for them. I think it was finished in about 5 months' time or so. They really haven't gone anywhere else here, but you can see their army has definitely picked up and moved from the eastern front at this point now, and they are set up all along the border here. And based on what I'm seeing here, there may be some movement into Denmark pretty soon. So we'll see how that goes in the coming months. So with that though, let's continue onward with our game. We're beginning to make our move around, as you can see. We want to encircle that capital here. Machine gun positions. Okay. Yeah, this leaves a few. See, all these are too low infrastructure, so realistically, these are the only 2 provinces they can be in now. So this movement that I made here has cut off these troops entirely. They're not able to get to reinforce, and as soon as I make my wheel around this way, their capital will be entirely closed off. Um, yeah, they'll be able to move up there and retreat there and out to the west as well, but that's about it. And that was the idea, was just to make sure I can cut off the capital and not have to worry overly about any reinforcements coming in to take out my troops that are there. Let's move you here and then kind of back there like so. That my cav force is all dispersing, as you can kind of see here, they're dispersing throughout the countryside, just so that way they're in select areas in cases like this where partisans or rebels appear. They'll be able to move in, eliminate those guys, and then kind of get back to where they need to be. 3x3 reverse. This is under capital here. We need to go out to this layout, and I'll double check on my previous videos, but I'm pretty sure the CTAC positioning bonuses were not as good as it is now for that level 2 tech. Now that we're researching level 3, it's a bit better. The thing with this, and I'm not sure why it is per se, but you kind of you bounce back and forth on this until finally you reach level 5 layout where you can get the best bonuses. The reverse removes those bonuses, actually gives you penalties, but allows you then to research the next level of the layout. So that's what I do, is kind of bounce back and forth until you arrive at the highest level of the layout that I want there. That's that. We got bow ramps. That's nothing there. Interdiction tactics. No. Okay. So we got a few things that we have researched are dropping off there. Assault weapons to level 1, something that I would research anyway, because you can see it provides, for the engineers at the very least here, it provides some bonuses. And I think I have some engineers. That's usually should be in one of these type of, yeah, like these guys. Motorized engineer for the guard, and does the 24th have? And he's got engineer. So my frontline units have engineers for sure. So very handy, very helpful there. It is something that I wouldn't research right now because I'm researching, putting my focus towards naval research at this point for the most part. Um, but it's good to get that from my spies. 1939 tech, we'll leave that alone. Same as that. They're all CAG related as well, so I want to make sure that I can. Yeah, we're good. We don't need you. We can get that going. Let me check something real quick. Make sure I am importing metal. Okay, and I'm exporting everything else: supplies, energy, and even crude oil. Let's see. I thought I had checked not too long ago, but let's check again real quick here to see if we can sell some fuel and some energy. No, nobody else will buy it. I'm looking to see how much money surplus that these countries have that are showing that they need that they need that particular resource, just because I know they're not going to buy if they don't have enough money to do so. I know Minjiang would buy, but they only have a surplus of 0.14, so they're making a dime and nickel more. Not enough though for them to buy all of my energy they wish. No. I really don't want to sell crude oil per se, because I mean I'm at the max, but the amount that we're producing there is only 6. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's see what we can do. Man, I wish Germany was making more than enough money, because I know they would certainly buy from me. So we're gonna be doing oil. I don't think Yunnan will actually buy. Yeah, because that's not enough. Oil on a per point basis is really expensive. So the surplus that a country needs to be making is in the dollars. The teens minimum would really be the best. And the rest I'm not going to worry about. So really not much in the way I can do in trades at this point. We'll see what happens beginning of the year. Several countries may have an influx of money all of a sudden. Heavy anti-air, that's 38, 38, and 41. We'll go ahead and cancel that out. There we go. Seeing green, so that's all good to see. Money for rares. Sam, like energy for money. Sure. I will sell anything. Any amount, even for a nickel. Alrighty, we're moving around them. Light cruisers got advanced. Cruiser damage control. It's 1940 tech. Since it is a year in advance, we're going to go ahead and cancel that out. We won't further the research there. Um, the I had made a couple of changes to my messages. One thing I hated not seeing, I see we got winter time here. Okay, one of the things I hated not seeing was other countries declaring war on their enemies. And granted, I mean, I'm more concerned about what's happening in my sphere than I am, elsewhere. But I still want to see, like, when, for example, Soviet Union was doing the winter war against Finland here. So I enabled that in my messaging so I can at least see when a country is declaring war on another country. I also enabled a map. You can see where the names disappear on the rivers as well as the seas. Enabled that in the battle plan editor. That's under Black Ice Geo. I had seen that in Gamer 1745's videos, other people's videos as well, where they've had that, and I thought maybe it was a modification. And it turns out, yeah, it is mod. It's one they already have. It's Black Ice. So I enable it. I like that feature. It's nice to see, where what the names of the oceans and seas are, as well as you can see the names of the rivers too. It really brings it to a more personalized and historical want as well. Let's see, capital ship that is simply is dropping off. Good. Autarky, we're not going to do that. Because honestly, we've got more than enough at this point in time, and we're able to buy what we don't have enough of. So yeah, Spanish state wants a destroyer. Be happy to sell you one for nearly $5 there. Got a combat going on here. And that's the final pivot, final maneuver. Everybody else, yeah, everybody else is where they need to be at this point in time here. Okay. And as I figured, it would be fairly easy, 10-1 odds. So yeah, and the defenders are retreating now to the capital. Marine headquarters, we'll cancel that. It's 1940. Good to get though. I don't think I'll be selecting that Marine headquarter unit because I already have the extra units that I need at this point. So I'll have it bring it up. Study is completed, sure, but there's no need for the extra headquarter units. If we selected it, we'd just lose supplies and manpower. But quite honestly, I already had sufficient leadership for all 10 Marines that I have now. I think I had three leaders assigned. One of them I can actually kind of drop off and put him to regular status, regular army status, because now I have several. These are all specialized Marine Corps headquarter units, and they even have their own Army headquarter unit now for the Marines. So I'll say no need. I need to double check here. We should have some ships around. Yes, we do. So that's for, wait, is it for this guy too? Yes. And this is the guy I was talking about. I need to drop off. He's just a regular. I mean, granted, he does have some pretty good stats, but he wasn't. He's not his traits. He's not earning Marine trait. So I definitely want to drop him off. Everybody that's assigned him, I'm going to go ahead and assign to a regular Marine headquarter unit. Um, just because there's advantages of having Marine headquarter unit. They weigh a bit less, I believe. No, not according to that. But then again, they have engineers while he just has a headquarter attachment. Their headquarters, the Marine headquarters, is stronger for 1,000 men more than the regular headquarter unit. But there's some other advantages in that if you select your Marine headquarter units or even air or naval headquarter units, they can be it's easier to transport them than other regular headquarter units. So I just need to reassign him just a normal Army unit, and then assign all the naval Marines that are assigned to him to other guys instead. We're going to go ahead and transport those guys up here. Here's where I like to have all my Marines hanging out while we're waiting for future war. Oh yeah, let's assign a leader. Not that it really matters at this point. In 1941, I'm going to go ahead and go through all my leaders and kind of reassign them. Main reason is with the reassigning I'm be doing, my leaders have all pretty much gotten a lot of combat experience. Not all of them, of course, but a goodly amount. I would say the majority of my army was involved in fighting. But as you can see, like this general here, he's maxed out at skill level 4. I may want to, and he's got a lot of cool traits too. I may want to pull him off, pull that leader off, and put a different leader on, one that could, still gain some experience and some levels as well. Um, this one definitely. Any for me, any army types that are regular army, these specialized light infantry, anything that's going to be going into combat quite often, I want to make sure that their leader isn't maxed out at level 3 or lower. I want to make sure that they're able to progress beyond that. The level 4 I might be okay with, but because he's a hill fighter and has some other features I like, I may pull him off. He's actually got a lot of progress toward Mountaineer. I may pull him off and then utilize him for some Mountaineer divisions I want to build next year. But I definitely will pull off because he's maxed out at 3. Um, max 1. I'm going to pull him off for sure. That's too low of level for a frontline unit. This would be fine for a defensive unit, for a garrison or something like that. Skill 5. I like to see that skill 5. That means he can at least go up to skill 6 at the least. I don't know if somebody knows what the max skill level you can be. Yeah, max 2. He needs to get pulled up. What the max skill level can be, please let me know. I really haven't experienced, I guess, how far a leader can go. He's skill 1 or skill 0. I mean, that's fine, but he needs some more. I haven't experienced how far a leader can get. Um, so it'd be great to know exactly, what the highest level a leader can get in this game here. We'll assign that. Is he no, he's not a defensive guy. So we're going to go ahead and scoop up all these people, and they're going to get sent over to here. Pulling my main army off of China, because at this point there really is no need to have large forces, sitting in China still. I have all my defenders. That's all I really need here. There's not going to be any threat of conflict in China other than rebels and partisans popping up. So we need to leave that militia off here. You know what? Let's grab him. Oh, I don't have any ships here. I do. So why can he not? They have a weight total of 348. Oh, they're already transporting. Okay. That would be why. We'll move them up there, rebase. Okay, so we'll be picking up our units over time. I mean, there's really no hurry at this point to get all my troops over here. I prefer to have them on the mainland just for staging. So when we begin to attack, I can then kind of divvy up where my troops are going. Plus, I need to reorg them. I need to set up the command structure a little bit better for the next campaign coming up here in Southeast Asia. But also too, I find it's easier to supply and especially to upgrade your troops. I can't over here. You see, there's no upgrade symbol like there is here. I have these upgrade symbols because I'm on the mainland here. Is Taiwan is not considered the mainland, even though, well, actually I might not be able to build here. I think this may not be a build location. So I try to move all my troops over to the mainland, fleets and everything else as well that I need to upgrade. Just because it's easier to supply them here. They don't have to travel, over here, or travel, or the supply doesn't need to travel too far. And two, if I want to go ahead and select and say manually upgrade them, I can go ahead and do that. The let's see here, ground attacks. So we'll leave all those alone as is. Single engine, trying to prototype. Okay, so we're about ready to encircle there. We're almost at the end of 1940, and I really would like to get to 100% officers. So I think what I'm going to do is as research keeps trickling in that that either drops off or I manually drop it off because it's 1 year or more in advance. I'm gonna let it drop this down to about 60 and just keep feeding the extra points here or there to the officers until I reach that 100% mark here. Diplomatic influence, I like to see it right there, zero point zero 0.04, so it's gaining zero point zero 0.02. And the reason being, not that I need not that I need really any diplomatic influence as Japan, but each trade that you do, you know what? We'll just go ahead and cancel that out. We'll just say zero. Each trade that you do does use a DI, but speaking on that, we're not using that many trades, and you do use a DI when you declare war. I used two for Tibet and Xinjiang, but I'm really not going to be doing any manual declarations of war going forward. The December 7th is an automatic one that I don't believe uses a DI. If it does, the AI pulls it off, and if you're at zero, it'll put you at -1. Um, but yeah, war against America is going to be automatic, and then later on, the Allies, England, the Free French, um, Australia, New Zealand, et cetera, will all declare on me later on in 1941. I won't need to, for this point going forward, I really won't need to be declaring war on anybody, with the possible exception of the Soviet Union, and that we'll just be keeping an eye on as we need. Capital ship rudder, that dropped off, so we'll put another point toward officers. We are 41. We're down by 7,000, it looks like here. Sure, I'll give you an interceptor. Down by 7,000, so that's a long way. Yeah, that's about 180 days roughly so half a year before we'll get to 100% at the current rate. But that should be getting better here soon. As we drop off more and more tech, we'll be feeding more and more into that leadership there. Cruiser heavy anti-air, drop that off, and heavy anti-air, we're also dropping that off. And here's where I'll stop at 60. Yeah, we're gaining 57 new officers now a day. That's going to drop it down to about 160 days maybe before we reach that 100% mark. So that's fine. I'm okay with where that's at. They want energy. They'll give me a dime. I will be happy to accept your dime. It's funny how like I can't sell stuff to people, but yet they'll have people coming to me going like, "Hey, can you?" Sure, I'll go and do that. Looks like we lost a little bit of leadership though. Let's see, landing craft, fine. We'll bump that up to 59 here. Not sure why we lost a few points of leadership here. Nothing really changed overall, but it may be possible that something did. There's a Zuiho. It'll get assigned here to our first CVL Navy. And the main reason is I try to maintain, not only do I have a 35710 rule when it comes to my industry, which I explained in a much earlier episode, but I also try to maintain like a similar, I think it's 35710 as well when it comes to your Navy. With some exceptions, torpedo boats, I try to put them in groups of four. I may change that. I may just put them in groups of three, but I find fours, they're a little bit more powerful than a group of three ships. They tend to get sunk a little bit quicker than four do. And I like to use the torpedo boats just as like a tripwire. So when I'm able to notice, because as people saw my China campaign, I missed several naval battles that were going on. I wasn't watching up here in the upper right corner to see what sort of battles were happening. But I find that if they have a little bit of umph behind them, that there's more ships here. Um, they're able to kind of hang in and warn me, let me know that there's an enemy fleet coming in, and I can then check the battle and see what their composition is, and determine how to vector my fleets in there. So I try to keep a 3, 5, 7, 10 rule there. I'm doing something different in this campaign. We're in. We need to group you guys together there for right now. That was a destroyer fleet that actually lost one destroyer against the Chinese. I lost a destroyer and a motor torpedo boat in my naval battles against China, while they lost far, far, far more than I did. I find that, or this campaign, I'm finding that I have so many destroyers and not enough of my capital type ships, heavy cruisers on up. So I'm kind of spreading it out a little bit. I'm just keeping my main fleets here, the ones that have these heavier ships in them, trying to maintain groups of 7 here. The heavy cruisers, you can see I've got 3 in each, except for that one there. But that's okay. The others have 3. That one had, I think, had an extra destroyer or something like that. But I could, once I have a cruiser just built here, I can go ahead and change that. And then my heavier ships, battle cruisers, battleships, they're all going to pretty much be in groups of 2 as well. Though it looks like I did the groups of 3 as well. Yeah, I may change up my fleets a little bit more. Just keep maybe, I don't know. I'll see how things kind of shake out as we get further into our builds here. I've got several battleships coming online spring after war with the United States. But in any event, with my carriers, I like to keep them in groups of 7, period. As you can see, with my rigger carriers, I keep it in groups of 2 and 5 light cruisers. With my light carriers, I have 3 with 4 light cruisers. And the reason on that is each regular carrier can hold 2 CAG, each light carrier can hold 1. So this fleet here has 4 CAGs on it. This one here will have 3. Not quite as weak then as this one in that regards, in regards to CAG strength. It keeps that versatility as well. But yeah, good news that the Zuiho's finished there. Nice to see another carrier pop up there. Let me drop my reinforcements down, drop my supplies down, way down here. Let's actually drop it down. I see we're over 90,000. Let's drop it down to about, yeah, that. It's not going to hurt because we're putting it all into production. At this point now, let me start my, oh, it's January. We just flipped over into 1940. Let me start my next round of carrier builds here. We're going to build 2 more carriers, add CAGs as well. We're also going to add their requisite 5 light cruisers. And then we're also going to be building another light carrier group, 3 of them, along with their cruisers, 4 of them. We are going to drop all this industry down. Not going to worry about the infantry now either. Junyu, Hayu, Ibuku, Tayu, and Chuyu. I definitely apologize to everybody on my mispronunciations here. I do not speak Japanese at all, as people say. No duh, Tom. We can tell. I have a bunch of stuff coming out in 1940. I kind of have to wait a few days here, maybe in a week, before this will kind of alter a little bit more, because I think we lost the shipping, the naval build bonus. Um, and 2, we're also going to be building some new shipyards that will help decrease the amount of time it takes to build fleet. So wait a few weeks, and those build times should decrease a bit. Capital ship that dropped off. Um, yeah, let me drop this down to 55 even, so we can. I really want my officer ratio up to 100 because we've got a bunch of builds coming in. Though, fortunately, fleets don't take that much in the way of officers. Um, your military does, your army, I should say, does, but not your air and navy. We got some research gains in our carriers, I see, and a couple capital ship gains too. Um, which is that? Dun, 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 or it's under carrier. That's the no capital ship. Engine, boilers, and turbines. Engines, boilers, and turbines. So that's not here in carrier, because I mean that's cruise rudder and hull shape. So it's got to be under capital here. But if I look under capital, there's propulsion. I don't see it there. Hmm. Is it here that I'm not seeing it? Maybe it's in this other capital ship. Ah, up here. These techs. Okay. Okay, cool. I can't research them anyway because there's other parameters that are not met at this point in time that I have to meet. which we're getting there. Yeah, we're kind of getting there, but it's still good to see that. The tech or that tech gain in question is due to my carrier specialist here. It's costing me quite a bit of money, but you see we're still positive. But we're gaining a lot of that, a lot of carrier tech that we're not otherwise able to learn ourselves. So the Germans lost the Tirpitz and the Admiral Scheer. Sorry to hear that. CAG crew training. It is 1940 tech, so we'll leave that alone. And we stole the truck and prime mover reliability. We don't use half tracks really. We do have trucks, light trucks. My specialized light infantry units that I've built definitely use them. Armor as well, I think. So that's cool. And you also got some other benefits here. The artillery and AA and anti-tank all get increased defensiveness and toughness. So yeah, that. And cool, I'll take that money. We got some beginning of the year type stuff to select here. So our annual focuses and whatnot. The bank, I like this. The BIS, it provides you, as you can see, for just for a month actually, increase to IC and leadership. Um, but once we choose how much we're giving away, I think it's even more. We're not going to buy manganese. Um, on that note, let's take a look real quick at what we will need to buy: strategic resources. As Japan, we are sticking with the Vickers steel for our naval builds. So to increase our naval builds overall speed, or rather to remove the naval build speed penalty, because there is one if you don't have this resource, if you don't have the resources you need for your ship build speed, um, we just need to buy copper. As Japan, Vickers steel is not as good as the cemented armor or the special treatment steel, um, but two, we don't need as many resources. We don't need two. We just need one in order to negate that the build speed penalty. Conversely, too, if we have copper, they'll negate one of the two penalties for metal production, which right now we're in the positives. So we don't need we don't need that second one, zinc. I just want to make sure that I keep getting copper at the very least out of all these resources, so we can get our naval builds done quicker. We don't worry about this. That's what the manganese is good for, as well as cemented armor. The IC efficiency chromite. Um, Typically, that's a early game for Japan. For me, chromite is a must need along with zinc and copper for the steel production. But now at this point, it'd be good to have chromite, but I need copper. If I have my druthers, I'd rather have copper. And heart attack, sure, but we don't really need to worry about that right now. So we're going to close that out. So the BIS, as you saw, we got a 5% gain through next month. Choosing the 4,000 supplies, and you can choose different levels of supplies. But honestly, why not just do the full full 4,000 that you can give each year if you're able? Maybe beginning of the game, maybe you might not be able to. I could see that. By this point, we're over 90,000. We're overproducing supplies. Can't sell enough as well. Here, we'll get rid of the 4,000 supplies, gain some extra money, and we'll gain another 4% of IC through the end of the year, which is very, very nice. And that leadership modifier as well, also very handy. Do short-term investment, we need the IC more than we need the money. And we're doing, for our focus, this is what we're putting our infrastructure towards. Um, Germany, every major power has choices as well here. It's set up differently, of course. Germany doesn't worry about defeating China, but we're at the point now where this year and the following years we're going to be focusing on the IGN. We need fleets. Japan's an island nation. It lives or dies based upon its navy, which in turn its navy lives or dies based upon its CAG. So we'll go ahead and build up the IJN. You can see the air, land, and armor build speeds. We get penalties for, well, it says the rest of the game. I don't think this is cumulative. I think this is only strictly for a per year basis. I don't feel that's cumulative here. So we'll go ahead and select that. We're going to go ahead and build new shipyards because we're going to get a bunch of new shipyards, which will also decrease the amount of time it takes for our Navy to build. We get a bit of an icy hit, but we already took care of that with the BIS event, so that's gonna be far outweighed, negated. We'll stick with our economic spying because really everything else. Um, in 1942, I'm going to switch over. Well, maybe next year I might be doing it. I don't know. I'll have to see. But in the coming year or years, I'm gonna go and switch to naval intelligence just so I can get that little boost to naval organization. +1 in naval battles really it doesn't mean too much exactly, but that naval intel will be very handy. Typically, you can't see ships out here unless your naval intelligence is quite high. So I need to make sure that I'm boosting my naval intelligence overall so I can see where a potential American fleet is moving around. But for now, we're going to stick with the industrial, the IC efficiency here at 1%. We should have a few other, no, nothing yet here. So we'll go ahead and proceed. Next couple days here. Actually, need to save the game real quick. We don't need to buy anything. Saving the game. It's been 2 months here. And it says, yeah, we had that leadership improvement thanks to the BIS event. We're going to go ahead and funnel all that extra leadership towards our officers so we can get them, we can get up to that 100% mark even quicker. We just need another, well, less than 7,000, about 6,300 at this point here. So that's 70 days roughly now. So as I said, decreasing and decreasing. We'll be getting that 100% mark real soon. Then we'll be filtering at least 10, if maybe 11 of that over to research. Norway is mobilizing. It looks like the Soviet Union, the Winter War happened and finished quicker than it did in the real world here. The Soviet Union took um, its prizes that it wanted, that area there, pretty much this whole entire peninsula here and up around here. Germany has not done any major moves otherwise. I don't anticipate them to for a few more months. Inter-service rivalry, we're going to favor the IJN because we want to negate, well, not negate, we want to minimize some of that air build speed for our CAG units and another air we're going to be building later this year. But we need that 4% naval build speed too, that bonus. We need capital ship damage control. 1940 techs, I'm going to let this ride. We do need that. Finland is back to mobilizing. Um, Nothing yet there. Okay. Auxiliary fuel tanks, that's dropping off. So we'll shift over. If they keep dropping, I'm going to drop that down to about 55 here. So the next couple of techs that drop off, or I manually drop off because it's 1941 tech or even further in the future, and just push it over to officers. That way, we keep going up and up, and our officers, we get more and more quicker and quicker to 100% there. Here's our shipyards. This was waiting for before I ended the episode. I just wanted to show and see like how much we kind of go up by. Not terribly much here. Our small shipyards, that's for like torpedo boats. I think passenger liners, things of that kind of nature, maybe destroyers. I think destroyers might be more medium shipyards. So we went up by 1, so not a terrible big deal, but medium shipyards went up by 3. So yay, destroyers, I believe, are medium shipyards. They should be getting built quicker. Capital shipyards went up by 2, so that's carriers, battleships, battle cruisers, heavy cruisers. And submarines went up by 3. We're going to be building some subs this year as well, starting to build subs this year as well. So that's good to see. Let me save the game, and I appreciate everybody watching up to this point here. I'm just going to progress further into my next episode and just keep playing. But I'll end the episode here so that way I don't bore everybody to tears with a very long episode. Thank you for watching. If you have any further comments, questions, go ahead and provide them down below, and I'll see you next episode. Bye.